All right, ladies and gentlemen, well, we have a bombshell story coming out right now, and this story is huge for a reason. The people who are after your video games, the ones who are into the whole diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, the ones who are trying to sell you superficial diversity and tell you that it's stunning and brave, those people are trying to convince you that it's all happening naturally. Those people are trying to convince you that there's totally not an agenda happening behind the scenes. They're the ones trying to convince you that you're crazy while they are the normal ones. Well, apparently, this bombshell interview coming out from a former Shonen Jump editor-in-chief, Torishima, and the former editor-in-charge of Dragon Ball, Yuji Horii, apparently is coming out and admitting that it's the West that is forcing all of this nonsensical DEI and censorship into your Eastern games.
For a modern gaming audience.
Now, again, guys, this is so ridiculous because we have been saying for a long time now, this has been happening, okay? And they try to gaslight you and tell you it's not happening. They're trying to gaslight you, the journalists, right? The developers, the studios, they're all trying to gaslight you and tell you none of this is happening. We promise. Wink, wink. Well, apparently that's not the case. So let's get into this video, guys. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now, again, this comes from Smash JT, where he says, well, that settles it. The nut jobs in America have forced their insane ideologies on foreign nations in order for them to be able to competitively sell a product. It's beyond fucked up. This is why we fight. Now, one thing I will say before we get into the video is I've said so many times that I truly believe that the West, the people that the Japanese work with, right, whoever they're working with from the West, they have convinced Japanese that this is what the West wants, whether it's by choice or whether it's by some fake like regulation or something like that. I've always been saying this. I've been saying this for fucking months now, probably almost a year at this point. And I'm glad that now there's a video saying literally exactly that. So let's play this video. It's obviously translated. Make sure the volume's up, and here we go, guys. I'm gonna pause this and read this as it goes along because, like I said, it's translated. So they're showing two side-by-side pictures here, and it says there was a lot of buzz about the costumes. It became a topic of discussion because they weren't exactly the same as they were back then. He says, yeah, there was various regulations in place. Number one, what regulations? There is no law that says that this has to be this way in the West. And if they are convincing the Japanese that that is the case, we have a big problem. Apparently, it's not allowed to show too much skin. To who? To who? What regulation says that's the case? She says, well, I really don't intend to dig too deep into that. You should. It's simply about the user immersing themselves in the fiction and going on an adventure. What is wrong with it? I really don't understand that either. It's a game, it's fiction, and it's a virtual experience. So as long as it's enjoyable, I think that's all that matters. Guys, the Japanese have no freaking clue as to what the Western audience wants because the people that should be giving them actual real good advice are too busy trying to sneak in their freaking identity politics into content that doesn't have it, right? They look at Japanese content as just like virgin content where they can just fucking destroy it and have their way with it and do whatever they want with it. And the Japanese are not going to know any better because this is not their culture. They have no idea. They're getting co-opted. If there's too much exposure, the age rating goes up. Now, listen, I get that as an argument. I totally get that. But Dragon Quest games have been rated as E for everyone or whatever that rating is. They've been rated well, even with the characters dressed as they were in the past. Changing it now is not going to change the rating. Your rating would not go up by showcasing the characters as they always were because the rating hasn't changed. That's just an excuse that the Western developers are trying to give you in order to push their identity politics into your game. We won't be able to sell it as an all ages product. That is absolute nonsense.
がやっぱなんか各国違ったりするんでね。
Rules vary from a country to country. When trying to sell widely, there's the issue of having to comply with the strictest regulations. Again, guys, the clothing that was on those characters is not against any regulation in the United States of America. There is no regulation in the US that says that that clothing is immediately going to make the game like M-rated, right? That there is no regulation like that. The ESRB would not smack this game for the way that the characters were dressed prior, because if that was the case, they would have done it already.
広く売ろうと思うと一番厳しいところに合わせざるを得ないとか。
でも
当時そんなこと思わなかったですけどね。
We never even thought about that in the past. Under the name of compliance, again, it's not compliance. They're trying to prove so again, guys, the Western developers are trying to push this under supposed compliance, but all it is a corporation trying to interject their ideology, their identity politics under the guise of compliance, right? They're trying to tell the Japanese, hey, this is what we have to do in order to be compliant, when it's fuck all what they have to do, right? That's not true at all. They're just telling people that don't know any better, and it's obvious they don't know any better, that, oh, this is for compliance, so we have to do it. No. It's BS. They want to do it, and they're trying to find an excuse to make it happen.
やっぱりね、ある種のね、なんだろうな、絶対神と言うべき。
It's like an absolute god, an evil disguised as good. Man, the irony of this statement is staggering, because that's exactly what this is. It is an evil fucking force that is in the gaming industry right now that's trying to disguise itself as progressively good. Oh, we totally care about all the stuff that we're making you do right now. Sure.
借りた悪みたいなのがある。全員が不快感を覚え
There's no such thing as content that doesn't make everyone
ない
uncomfortable.
なんてことはないわけ。だって不快なことを覚えるどうこうでもいいわけよ。だって綺麗汚いとか
Because
さ。
beauty and ugliness, good and evil are different for everyone. Exactly. And that's the exact point. Make the game that you want to make. If you are censoring your video game, all you're doing is pissing off the people who have already supported you for decades, right? People who have supported you for so many years. By censoring the game, you are essentially saying, screw those people. We're trying to adhere to people that would never even give our game a shot to begin with. You think putting that shirt on that character and a pair of shorts on that character is going to suddenly make someone say, you know what, I want to play this game now? Of course not. That's not going to happen. Anybody who was going to play Dragon Quest was going to play Dragon Quest already as it was. They're not going to make their decision based on whether or not the character is censored or not. But I will tell you, there are some people that are going to walk away from the project because you decided to censor it.
善悪って人それぞれに感じ方があるわけじゃん。
はいはい。
で物事はやっぱり
There are a few things that are absolutely must not be done. As long as you follow those, you're free to do the
根っ
rest.
こにあるのはやっぱり
Like
絶対やっ
what?
ちゃいけないことだけいくつかあってそれさえやらなきゃあとはいいじゃないってそういうのがないわけよ。
はいはい。
だからやっぱり英米の方から来てる
There's a religious concept from the West, especially in America, that influences their approach to sex education, right? So they literally view this as like a religious thing. It's insane. The stuff that's being told to these Japanese developers or these Japanese it's just ridiculous what they're being fed, and they're being fed nonsense from Western ideologues that are pushing this stuff to people that just don't know any better.
宗教的な概念から来るその正教徒の考え方ってアメリカにあるじゃない。彼らのコンプラの考え方って本当に
Their approach to compliance is really narrow-minded. That's true.
でだから向こうでコミック
When selling manga in America, everything had to be categorized by age groups.
した時に全部その年齢で区切ってやらなきゃいけない。少年ジャンプの漫画だったら13アップ13歳
For Shonen Jump manga, they couldn't be sold unless they were rated for ages 13 and up.
以上じゃないと出せない。私は全部リテイクでなきゃいけない。でそれを訴訟が起きるそのために保険も
Because there's
払
a risk of lawsuits, the company also has to get insurance.
わなきゃいけない。もうこんなねバカな国とね
Doing business with such a ridiculous country is really frustrating. I love it.
やるの本当めんどくさい。でそっから日本も悪影響を受けてやる
Because of that, Japan also gets negatively
るか
influenced.
ら。
主人公もね
So the whole manga thing, again, guys, I'm glad that they're admitting that it's ridiculous what they have to deal with in order to even do business with the United States of America. But let's be real, the people that they're speaking with is not exactly probably the easiest to work with because they're so busy trying to find any way to inject their identity politics under the guise of compliance that the Japanese end up probably getting frustrated because it should be a lot simpler of a transaction. Unfortunately for them, it's not because they don't realize that this comes down to an ideology that is basically like a religion for these people.
男女選べるんだけど、男
Oh,
を
really
ね
quick. It says in Dragon Quest, you used to be able to choose between a male and female main character, but now you can't choose between a man and a woman anymore.
って書いていけないのね。タイプ1、タイプ2なのね。
ね
We have to label them as type 1 and type 2.
そうこれ男女誰が一体文句言うんだろ
I really wonder who's even complaining about this.
うと思う
そうそうそうそうそう。
Bro, that's the proof right there. That is the literal proof right there. It is the West doing this type 1, type 2 bullshit. It's the West. They're laughing at you. The Japanese are literally laughing. They're like, who's even complaining about this? Guess what? Nobody. Twitter is not a real place. You have people complaining about it on Twitter, but at the end of the day, they don't give a fuck. If the game said male and female, they would have bought it anyway if they were going to actually buy the game. Truth of the matter is they're not going to buy the game, right? That's really what it's about. They're not going to buy the game, but they want to see a victory. I mean, that's what really matters to them. So they're going to try to use your game to get that victory. So I'm glad the Japanese were laughing their ass off at this at the end because it proves, again, this is not coming from them. This is coming at the request of whoever they're working with in the West, and they feel like they have to do this to appease to Western audiences. And I just wish they can listen and understand that that's not the fucking truth. You don't have to do that at all. We loved your content the way it was before, and we hope that you go back to doing so because this whole woke shit, type 1, type 2, A, B, whatever bullshit, yeah, we don't care about that. It's all nonsense. And guess what? We're laughing at them just as much as you're laughing at them. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it if you get to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.